Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934. It is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese. Of course.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, the guy get a seat.
For the love of palmetto cheese.
What's up, New Orleans? I'm Michael Lewis, inviting you to come out to Rock and Bowl, November the 17th to Gold and Bowl. It's a benefit for the New Orleans Gold Rugby Foundation, helping youth succeed through sports. We have food, music by the Iguanas, and bowling. So come out to Rock and Bowl, November the 17th for Gold and Bowl. Come out and meet your Major League Rugby team, NOLA Gold. Get tickets at nolagold.com or call 504-50-RUGBY. I'm rolling with rugby. How about you?
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you.
It's Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander. He's back.
Hey, we're back, everybody. Welcome back to Primetime Sports. We took a few months off to recharge the batteries. That's James Martin. We'll get into him in a second. But what a magical time it is to be a fan in the Crescent City in the state of Louisiana. LSU, the Saints, and Tulane have never been this good all together in the history of the Saints franchise at the same time. It is wonderful to be around. Obviously, the Pelicans started off very slow. That's because Zion Williamson's hurt. When he comes back, we expect big things from that superstar, first pick of the draft. But I got to tell you, this is going to be great. WWL is our new partner. We're going to be on Sunday nights, as you can tell, and CST is going to still air us on Tuesdays. I want to thank WLE for all they did for us. But right now, I got to talk to my man James, because he was part of our original band we had with Derek Smoker Freeman and Tuba Steve and some others. We had a band for the first year. But you've been, since I've seen you last, you've made 4 albums, 2 with Soul Brass Band and 2 solos. And that second one that just came out this month started number 9 on the Contemporary Jazz Billboard chart.
Yes,
You're
indeed.
kicking it, my man. What's happening?
Everything and anything. I'm really blessed with the album. A lot of great success, good response. I got some great local residencies at the Spotted Cat, Monteleone, and everything's kicking.
Hey, check him out. You can Google him up, James Martin, and where he's playing each and every night. He's always got a gig, and he's one of the best saxophone players, not just in the city of New Orleans, in the entire country. Hey, but first, this show, it's only going to be 30 minutes now. We're going to come at you fast and furious, and this show is no exception, because we have one of the greatest running backs in Saints and LSU history. His name is Dalton Hilliard, and also we have a current Saint fullback, the starter. His name is Zach Line. He's been on here before. 2 great running backs right here on Primetime Sports. Stay tuned.
Make no mistake about it, life's more fun with seafood.
Oysters don't swim.
They do in butter.
What'd you get? A little bit of everything to make everyone happy.
Acme Oyster House. Life really is more fun with seafood.
Did you know that GMFS Mortgage is the largest independent mortgage company in Louisiana? Their 250 employees have helped over 79,000 customers make the dream of home ownership come true. They funded over $12.9 billion in loans right here in Southeast Louisiana. If you're ready to buy, build, or renovate a new home, or just need to refinance, call the company born and raised here, GMFS Mortgage.
Handling a gator like this can be scary, and this is pretty risky too. But do you know what's really dangerous? Dealing with the insurance company after your car wreck. If you've been injured, get a fighter. That's why you need to call me. I'm not afraid to handle them, and I'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve. So if you've been hurt, hire a professional. Just call me. Get it done.
Get Gordon. Get it done.
Call 1-800-653-9968.
What's up, New Orleans? I'm Michael Lewis, inviting you to come out to Rock and Bowl, November the 17th to Gold and Bowl. It's a benefit for the New Orleans Gold Rugby Foundation, helping youth succeed through sports. We have food, music by the Iguanas, and bowling. So come out to Rock and Bowl, November the 17th for Gold and Bowl. Come out and meet your Major League Rugby team, NOLA Gold. Get tickets at nolagold.com or call 504-50-RUGBY. I'm rolling with rugby. How about you?
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese.
Of course. It's okay. I'll take it from here.
Hey, the guy get a seat.
For the love of palmetto cheese.
Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is underwritten by Task Performance.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I cannot wait for this second, but that palmetto cheese commercial made me hungry. By the way, that's an LSU grad that started that company out in South Carolina. They're doing great. But you saw Michael Lewis on that promo. Don't forget the NOLA Gold Major League Rugby team is having a big celebration. It's coming up this Sunday, or next Sunday, I should say. It's going to be on the 17th, and it's starting at 4 o'clock at Rock and Bowl. It's going to be a blast, as you see on the screen right there. You see all the details. Check it out, and it goes to a good cause. And the NOLA Gold team is now going to be playing in Baby Cake Stadium, or the Zephyr Field, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be called the Gold Mine on Airline, and I know they're fired up. But here, my next guest, I'm fired up for, because he's a contemporary of mine. When I went to LSU, he was the big man on campus. He's one of the few guys that can say this. In fact, the only one for this position. He's one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in Saints history. In my book, he's number 1. He's one of the top 5 running backs in the illustrious history of LSU. This guy did wonders up there, and here he is right here. His name is Dalton Hilliard. If you're 40 and over, I know you know him. If you're 40 and younger, Google him up or ask somebody. But what's up, my friend? How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I've had like 250 people on the show, and we've been talking for a long time. Everybody from all your teammates, from the Eric Hills to everybody, and we finally got you here. Thank you for coming.
Man, the schedule's just been a little bit crazy, but I've been trying my best business-wise, traveling, trying to establish something for the company, and we're doing well. But hey, man, I'm here.
You're here, baby.
I'm
you're
here.
On the first show on WWL. I'm fired up for this. By the way, I look back, your first year, you went to LSU. You were also, I forgot to mention this, probably one of the only athletes that played his entire career in one state, and it was illustrious at it. Patterson High School, correct?
Yes.
And then you went on to LSU for 4 years, and then the Saints for several years. Pro Bowler, I remember in 1990. Should have been the MVP that season. But what's it like staying in your home state the whole time?
It's basically, Scott, man, it was like a dream come true. You know, I can remember myself as a kid coming up and playing ball in high school in Patterson and all the traditional Louisiana from the high school standpoint. And now I have an opportunity to finally go to LSU, a scholarship at a major university. And Lord and behold, now I'm getting drafted by the New Orleans Saints. So my whole career being here in Louisiana, man, was a blessing. It has been a blessing.
I was just talking about you yesterday. The owner of the NOLA Gold Major League Rugby team played football at West Jeff. and I was telling him about a player named Gary James. I remember the first time I saw him, it was in this tag Gorman. It was sold out, and then you guys all came in together. I want your opinion on this. When you came in, you obviously heard about his press clippings. He had heard about you. Was there any kind of like thought that, hey, I want to be the man here? Because y'all shared the ball and y'all did it very well.
Well, Gary James and I, we had a wonderful relationship. We hit it off very quickly. I had a high school coach by the name of Jack Andre who taught me and believed in me in high school and said, hey, Dalton, LSU is the only major school recruiting you. Go to LSU, start at the top. If you can't make it, then you may be able to drop down and play at a different level. But he had the confidence in me to play LSU, and I chose the university to go there. Gary James, Carbonard, and a host of other running backs. They had a lot of depth at that time during my freshman year coming to LSU.
And then speaking of the transition to the Saints, they don't get a lot of LSU players anymore. But back then, I remember you and Eric Hill, and for a long time, everybody's like, y'all the top in your position in the history of the Saints. Certainly at that time, I say Eric Hill, Eric Martin, the wide receiver. Eric Hill, the linebacker, with the Cardinals. But the fact is, him and Hokie Gajan a little before you guys. What was that kinship you had with those guys, particularly Eric Martin?
Well, it was a special one. Eric and I played at LSU when the Saints drafted me, and he sort of took me under his wing and explained to me about the NFL and what it takes to be a professional football player. Him and I hit it off very well because we played a lot of golf coming up through that, that Saints time.
Intramural basketball, too. We had some battles against each other, mostly in the finals. We had some fun there. But what's your best memories of LSU? Because, your freshman year, you obviously had the big run to the Orange Bowl. You had the Sugar Bowl later on. Anything stick out in your mind?
Well, I would say my whole freshman year was a dream. For a guy coming from Patterson High School, man, starting amongst 80,000 people, as a freshman and playing in that university with that stadium with that many people there. I'll say LSU, my freshman year, that whole team was a very talented team.
Magical.
Yes. We went to the Orange Bowl. We won a lot of games.
Yes.
And a lot of those guys on defense and offense, played in the NFL. I think that was a national championship type team.
It was for sure. It was for sure. And I'm going to transition to the Saints real quick because, you're always going to be part of that great history of the lore, beloved, because y'all were the ones that had the first winning record. Y'all the ones that brought the first playoff games. Y'all the ones that had, people might not remember this, but this team right here, they had the best record in the NFL from 1987 to like 92. The second best behind the San Francisco 49ers, tied with the Buffalo Bills. People forget that nationally because you didn't win in the playoffs, but that team was dominant.
Yeah, I'll show you, man. My rookie year in '86, coming in with Jim Dombrowski, Pat Swilling with that draft pick.
Oh, my goodness.
That draft year.
Crazy.
And plus, you had some guys from the USFL.
Both those guys have been on the show, by the way.
Yes. I'm here now, Scott.
You're here now. I'm joking.
Here,
I
okay?
know.
Hey, but I appreciate your patience.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, Sam Mills, Von Johnson. We had a collective group of guys. Bobby Abel, Bobby Abel. Also, that group teamed up with guys like Ricky Jackson and other players, Jim Wilkes and Tony Elliott. Those guys, my rookie year, brought some talent to Jim Moore and his coaching staff that year. And from there, we just continue on. I played in 4 playoff games, but unfortunately, I didn't have opportunity to win any.
It's funny, that offense you had, everybody talks about the defense. They always want to say, hey, Ricky Jackson, Pat Swilling, Von Johnson, you mentioned all them, Sam Mills, of course. The defensive linemen, who I think are very underrated, they should be getting as much credit too. But the offense was great. Listen, you didn't more scoring 30, 40 points an inning, but you didn't need to. It was ball control. You were hammering them down, getting 1,500 yards in a season. Eric Martin was getting all the key first downs. You got Hobie Brenner making big plays. You did what you needed to do to win, and that team won a bunch of games, particularly that year they went 12-3. That was a strike year, so they didn't play one. But just that offense, talk about what y'all were meant to do. And then, of course, Morton Anderson was always there to clean it up, too.
Well, the offense we had, really we ran the ball consistently. I can remember those days where sometimes the opposing team realized we're going to run the ball. But the offensive line, I think, was one of the group of guys that was really underrated. I think the offensive line, based on our capability of running the ball, you had a guy like Reuben Mays who came in there and had a wonderful career there.
Yeah, y'all were drafted together, right?
That's right. We were drafted together. Yes,
he was great
and done extremely well because, and that part of it made the control of the game in our hands and having the ball a lot. Being able to run the ball. And the defense played extremely well.
Now, everybody likes to put their Mount Rushmores out there, the pantheon of great players. And I'm going to tell you honestly, it's not because you're sitting here, I tell everybody this. For me, for the LSU Tigers, there's so many great running backs, and I'm going to leave a lot out. But Billy Cannon, I wasn't alive to see him, but obviously Heisman Trophy winner, he's got to be there. Jerry Stovall was runner-up, but he's not on mine. But it's Charles Alexander, it's Dalton Hilliard, it's Kevin Falk, and it's Billy Cannon. Those are my four right there, with all apologies due to Leonard Fournette and to everybody else that are great. But when you hear that, and you hear like the people talking about you one of the great Saints along with Deuce McAllister at running back, what are your thoughts? Because you were a key part of both those teams' histories.
Well, you have so many talented guys, and you got the history, before a player that comes there to the university or come to a professional level, that guys have done some great things, and you go through that same retro opportunity, and you do well.
Yeah.
So to even be mentioned in that group is remarkable. That's a lot of great running backs. You name it. Kevin Falk, man, a great.
They're all great, man. Yeah. There's a history of illustrious running backs. So you're in the pantheon. I got to tell you, I wish I had 10 more minutes, but I got to give you some gifts, man. You came away task performance. If you haven't worn that, you're going to never not put it on again. I'm going to step up my gift certificate for you.
What you got?
Yeah, we stepped that one up.
Okay.
When you go see Evan, tell him I said that, and we got you a little extra Acme, and I'll give you a little something on the side. That is Dalton Hilliard right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
You signed the LSU ball, but you're one of the few that can sign both. You're going to sign that Saints ball in a second, but I'm running out of time. I got to get to Zach Line, our starting fullback with the New Orleans Saints, coming up next on Primetime Sports. Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Did you know that GMFS Mortgage is the largest independent mortgage company in Louisiana? Their 250 employees have helped over 79,000 customers make the dream of home ownership come true. They funded over $12.9 billion in loans right here in Southeast Louisiana. If you're ready to buy, build, or renovate a new home, or just need to refinance, call the company born and raised here, GMFS Mortgage.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Make no mistake about it, life's more fun with seafood.
Oysters don't swim.
They do in butter.
What'd you get? A little bit of everything to make everyone happy.
Acme Oyster House. Life really is more fun with seafood.
Handling a gator like this can be scary, and this is pretty risky too. But do you know what's really dangerous? Dealing with the insurance company after your car wreck. If you've been injured, get a fighter. That's why you need to call me. I'm not afraid to handle them, and I'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve. So if you've been hurt, hire a professional. Just call me. Get it done.
Get Gordon. Get it done.
Call 1-800-653-9968.
Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is underwritten by Task Performance.
And once again, that was James Martin. Thank you, James. We enjoyed having you today. But right now, one of my favorite guests, he's been here a couple times before. He is a current Saint, a starting fullback on the team. His name is Zach Line. He's the second leading rusher in SMU history behind only one guy. His name is Eric Dickerson. So if you're second anybody, that's not a bad one. But welcome back, my friend. How you been, Zach?
Good. Glad to be here.
It's good to see you, dude.
Yeah, good to see you too.
How great is this right now? I mean, you got to the Saints pretty much at the right time. I mean, they've been winning a lot lately. So how's this run been for you?
I mean, I just love working with this group. Every week, we don't know who we're playing next week because we're just locked in on that opponent, and it really is like that. I've been places in college and in the NFL where you are kind of counting down. Okay, we got this game next. We're here. I couldn't tell you week to week who we got next. So it's like we're so locked in on each opponent and the game plan, and you're doing it for the guys on this team, the guys like Drew, the guys like Cam, who are great leaders that kind of drive that the mentality.
What's it been like without Ingram? You mentioned Cam, and I remember when for years I went in that locker room, and I'm not talking on the field, but I'm talking it was always the loudest guys and the most fun guys to be around. Mark Ingram, Cam, obviously Jordan. What's that been like, the difference this season?
It was definitely a little weird in camp not having Mark there, because Mark was kind of that guy that could get you through those rough days of camp and the dog days, and we still keep in touch with Mark and hit him up after a good game or just seeing him on TV is always fun because he's always doing something Mark-ish.
I know exactly what you mean.
If that's a saying.
There's no doubt about it.
And there's still things, we still get Jimmy John's on our Saturdays, and he used to come in and say, Club Lulu. And so we always still say that. And there's still some things that, are left behind from Mark. And that's the nature of the beast in the NFL is you lose guys like that all the time, unfortunately. And whether it's trade, retiring, or just getting cut. And a little piece of that guy is always left, and somebody always has to pick up the torch and carry it.
Well, speaking of that, Teddy Bridgewater did just that. You talk about lose a guy. I mean, he got lost to free agency, but obviously Drew went down early in game 2. I know the entire city of New Orleans was worried, but Teddy Bridgewater came in and obviously went 5-0, did a great job. What was the difference working with those two guys?
Teddy is so locked in even when Drew was starting and it was being Drew. And, Teddy's right behind him, in the huddles and studying his playbook after practice, just like Drew does. And those guys are so locked in, and they both prepare like starters no matter what. And Drew did that during his time off as well when Teddy was playing. So that's why there's not really you're not missing a beat when the next guy steps up because they're both so ready. They're both competitors, and obviously glad Nine's back. But playing with Teddy in Minnesota, it was special for me to see him have that moment again of real football.
Yeah, that's right. You got to play with him with the Vikings when he was actually tearing it up, went to a Pro Bowl, and here in New Orleans. How's your friendship with him? Are y'all close? I mean, when he came over, was it like, oh, my God, there's a guy I used to play with?
Well, when I saw we picked him up, I texted him right away.
Oh, nice.
I was just excited for him because I knew that had been a long road for him, and he wanted his chance again. And no better spot for him, I felt like, to come to New Orleans with such great minds around him, and Sean and Drew and the rest of that offensive staff is just going to take his game and already his competitiveness to the next level.
Hey, as far as this team goes, obviously the sky's the limit. There's some national people like the Colin Cowards of the world were like saying the Saints were going to fall off. I'm guaranteeing 7-9 at best. Well, you're already 7-1. Or you're going forward, maybe 8-1. But the fact is this team, what do they do for each game? They look just the game ahead, the cliche that they all say, or are y'all looking at that bigger prize down the line?
Each game is obviously a unit for us, which leads to that bigger prize at the end. So there's no secret what we're trying to do, but every single game, every single week is a unit, and we need so many of those to get where we want to be. And one of the easiest ways to get to that spot is by having a good seeding, come playoff time. So obviously we're not addressing that.
Sure.
That's something that's addressed, but when we're in our weeks of game planning and actually practicing, we're not thinking about the next unit, but each unit leads to the goal that we have, which is definitely talked about.
That sounds like the Sean Payton playbook.
Yeah.
No, but fact is, the city of New Orleans, it has been heartbreaking the last 2 years. You went back to the team you played, that last second Stephon Diggs miracle touchdown, and then last year, we don't even have to bring it up. It was just heartbreaking. But, this team has got so much incentive going forward, and they're playing like it. I'm talking about every position. Do y'all feel that? Each day, going to the playoffs and hoping that something like that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I think the thing that we couldn't do coming into this year was have that mentality of no matter how hard we work, we're going to get screwed again or something's going to happen. We had to come in and be ready to roll again. And I think more the mentality this year is we can't leave any doubt because things can happen. So we just have to put games away and just do our jobs. I mean, it is cliche, but it's literally what we're doing. We're just coming to work, practicing. There's no secret formula other than, Drew and the masterminds upstairs putting a good game plan together. But executing what they put on paper is all we're doing.
I know it's not like the old days in practice where everybody went all out all the time. They're trying to protect the players a little more. But I remember a few years ago, Kenny Vaccaro was overdoing it. A lot of guys say, hey, dude, this is just practice. Don't hit me so hard.
Right.
Who's that guy on defense that just goes all out during practice too?
I don't know. I feel like we hadn't put pads on in a long time since probably our second game.
Interesting. All right.
We did it this week.
Okay.
Twice.
Wow.
So it was, not twice. We put it on this week, so it felt like twice. But
right. You got hit a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. I mean, my job is to hit people, so I don't really know. I might be that guy sometimes.
All right. That makes a little sense, actually.
It's definitely just who took too much pre-workout that day or who's feeling good that day. That's normally that guy. But there's not really. I mean, we're all pros. We're all most of us are vets, and can kind of set the tempo of what it's supposed to be because we can get a lot accomplished without taking someone's head off. Right.
Back in the day when I was a kid, the fullback got the ball a good bit. Some guys did, like Larry Zonka was a fullback. Right. They had Mercury Morris and Jim Kick, but he led the league and he was up there in rushing. It's not the same, but you were a rusher. You were a regular running back in college, and when I think of SMU, growing up, it was like Eric Dickerson. It was Craig James. It was the Pony Express. Reggie Dupart, a New Orleans guy who was the second leading rusher until you took his spot. There's a guy on that list, I don't know if you know. And when I looked at the top 10, when I was a kid, there was a Saints running back that went to SMU. Do you have any idea who this is? Because he was a guy that played for the Saints for the mid-'70s, and he would have been there before. But I'm going to throw this out because you're probably only the second one. If you have no idea, his name is Alvin Maxson, and we're going to show a couple shots here. But Alvin Maxson was a dude who was one of the top leaders. I think he was second or third when he left college. Now he's 10th, and he was also a Saints running back. So you're the second right there.
Okay. All right, so I'm second in something else.
You're second in something. Hey, as far as this SMU career, though, I mean, Eric Dickerson, the only guy you're behind. What's that like being a guy that you mentioned with him at SMU? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is special. And that year we had, the years I was in SMU, we had such a good O-line. My junior year, when I got hurt with 3 games left, they were about to kill me because we had records that we wanted to beat that year.
Yeah.
Oh, they had them. Like they were forcing me to break these records because they wanted to be that offensive line that did it. So we were close in a couple categories, and I was glad that my senior year I was able to get back healthy and help those guys out. And really, I give you all my yards to those guys. I mean, even Josh Arribas, he was a part of that. He was a Saint. Kelvin Beacham's still playing, and he was.
Yeah, y'all have like the second most. Everybody thinks Ohio State, but SMU's been represented 4 or 5, even sometimes 6 in camp players, right?
Yeah, I think right now we're at 3 again.
Right.
So that number needs to rise again.
It needs to get back up. By the way, they're doing great. Obviously, it was a bye week last week. They played Memphis. You didn't get a chance to go to that, did you?
No, I didn't go.
Phenomenal game, but they still did great. They beat. I was working the game. They beat TCU. So proud moments there. Hey, you know how we do it. We give shirts away. We give gift certificates away. This is Task Performance. You know it. Tell me, you got a couple of them before. How do you like them?
No, these are most comfortable shirts I have.
For real?
Here, yeah.
All right. That's not even scripted right there. And, of course, Shays Delachais, we're going to give you a little bonus for coming on last second. Hey, I haven't done this before ever, but I'm going to give you an Acme. This is one of my own. So there you go. Bring your wife, your kids. She's got beautiful kids, 3 kids. That's Zach Line, and this is the end of the first show on our comeback. This is the beginning, like I said, of the 4th season. And I want to thank Dalton Hilliard and, of course, Zach Line and everybody here at Loyola where we're producing the show, Sonia Due, and, of course, my producer, Albert DuPont, the Redhead Tsunami, and Tim Maupin as well. Hey, we'll see you next week right here on Primetime Sports.